I want to do something. I don't like necessarily to react to things that you see online because I don't think it's ever a fair reflection of a mood, because I think it's become Twitter in particular has become a dumping ground for just like bad takes and angry opinions that live there forever, when the person might not necessarily quite feel that, and people's lack of grasp of the English language. You know, and don't get me wrong, we all do this. We all call people legends for passing us the tomato ketchup when that's really probably slightly overused. But some absolute weapon decided to create a list of all of Curtis Jones' perceived mistakes in the first half of that game, and then having dug into it, a series of tweets that led to like almost celebrating him being taken off the pitch, and I didn't see this till late on last night, and I didn't actually go into it because I saw Chris sent it in the group, and I thought I don't need to engage with anything negative. I'm going to bed. I'll look at it tomorrow. So I looked at it in the cold light of day today. And it was absolute madness for me. I thought Curtis Jones had a good game in Liverpool's midfield.
Yeah, he was driving forward quite a bit, and I was impressed to see that, because we've missed that sometimes, and especially from Curtis Jones, when, God bless him, he's not been able to get into the squad, which is a testament to the squad and everything. But when he was announced in the lineup, it was an eyebrow raise. I must admit, I was a bit like, okay, I see where he's going, like sort of like the Harvey Elliott experiment in the San Siro. But I thought he was great. So that really surprises me. Really does.
What I liked, this is the problem with football, and I've seen this happen with countless Liverpool players over the years. So people did this with like Lucas, and people do it with Lallana, and there's always a scapegoat. Certain types of people, and whether it's age groups or not, it's just certain personality types don't vibe with certain footballers. And so, but honestly, if you go and watch a game of football and you decide, just pick a player that you think is shit, right? And then look at them through that prism only. So what you do is make a note of, and just any player, pick any player in football, and I mean pick the best players in football if you want, just to prove the point. And go and make a note of every time they stutter on the ball, or if they don't quite come out in a shoulder-to-shoulder 50-50, or they misplace a pass, and go through that, and you would honestly find that you could create a list and make even the best players on the planet look crap. And it was genuinely quite surprising to me that someone not only went to the time and effort, who is purportedly a Liverpool fan, would do that to an incredibly talented young up-and-coming footballer. But it's the blindness that comes with that, and you don't recognise it sometimes. It's like they're saying, everyone's crazy but me. And when you think everyone's crazy apart from you, it's not, it's you.
But they're doing it for one reason, aren't they? Likes, interactions, and they don't care whether they get. There's lots of negative Nancy's on Twitter who are Liverpool fans who will find a negative of us winning the league. And it's really frustrating, and you got to think about it. Curtis Jones is a Generation Z person who's grown up in the world of social media and mobile phones and all that sort of stuff. He lives his life on there just like any other young kid does, and he'll probably see it, and it's not fair, because look what happened to Neco Williams. Curtis Jones might have come off that pitch last night and gone, I had a good game last night, has a bath, goes on Twitter and goes, what?
And then
that'll play in his head then. That'll play in his head for a couple of weeks. But it's all right for Tommy Tenmen, who's on a keyboard warrior, who's sound now, who's, playing with himself in his Mars box room, but he's got all these 10,000 likes.
Yeah, who mercifully is, I think, getting slaughtered on social media. And should be, and here we go, and it becomes the perpetually negative cycle of what will happen is he'll get slaughtered for that, and rather than go, oh shit, I got that wrong, because it'll be, oh, haters and people can't see what I can see, because people are so up their own arse with these things and so desperately cling on to these negative opinions. So this idiot will die on that hill now, and guaranteed he'll then start putting like compilations together of his mistakes and all that.
Exactly.
To what end? Who wins? Nobody wins. Liverpool don't win more for some faceless idiot online trying to underplay the quality of a player who, by the way, the best manager on the planet chose for a Champions League game to play in Liverpool's team here. Played exactly the same minutes as Thiago Alcantara, by the way. And one thing I just thought was interesting, because look, stats don't tell the whole thing. The eyeball test is as important as anything. You've got to combine behind them. And for me, I saw Curtis Jones in lots of tricky situations. It was a challenging game of football, and I think he met that challenge really, really well.
Such quick feet, hasn't he?
But both him and Thiago in that first half, neither of them got to have the run of the pitch.
Yeah.
But both of them, Thiago's best work in that game was done defensively, not offensively. And I think Curtis actually looked more in that. And when he's physical and he's fighting, he's winning the ball back, and he doesn't lose possession. And so I thought I'd get both of the stats up because I thought it was interesting. Thiago Alcantara, we'll come to in a second, but 65 minutes played for Curtis Jones. Touches 55, accurate passes 44 to 41, which is a 93% passing accuracy, 3 of 5 long balls, 2 of 3 dribble attempts successful, and then in terms of the defensive stuff, clearances no, block shots not, tackles not, dribble passed 0 times, and then you look at Thiago Alcantara. Now he's playing a slightly deeper role for Liverpool, but in terms of, he got a 91% pass accuracy, slightly more passes and whatever. He's dribbled past once. He has to tackle. He has to get a bit more stuck in it. But the point is, overall, neither of them had an absolutely outstanding game of football. Both performed at a really good, solid level for the Reds in terms of what they were doing. But it's mad. It's just that, and that's kind of my point on this, is that there's just this weird subculture of, you used to have it in the pub back in the day. So I had a fella who used to hate Luis Garcia. Yeah. I just hated him. Couldn't see what he was. And he had a counter argument for all anything positive you'd say about him. But ultimately, Luis Garcia plays an integral role in Liverpool winning the European Cup. Yeah. And we win the FA Cup the season after, and it goes on and has a good career before and a good career after. Yeah. And it's like, for why? Why have we wasted energy drawing attention to this? And the Curtis Jones stuff I just find baffling. Yeah. He's 21. He gets to play. He plays in Liverpool's midfield quite a lot. Yeah.
And you want to stamp a kid for that?
He's such a talent.
And it's not easy. I mean, like, that's a fucking misery of social media. You only see the bad, the bad thing. And like you talked about this a minute ago. Like, when a player has 3 or 4 opportunities to go with the ball, like, he does one good thing, but this guy points out the 3 bad things he doesn't do, and that's shite. And that you, like you said, you could do this about the best player in the world or about every player in the world, and that would be not like fair. And they are in their mid-20s, in their end of the 20s. He's, like you said, 21. He's so young, and we have to point out it's not easy to be a young guy and having like this that mental roller coaster of this season being an integral part in February. Yeah. He was so important. He had one of the best games I've seen of a youngster against Porto away, where he had 3 or 4 assists in Champions League group stage. So he went through so many different versions and phases of this season, and that at 21, and he's still able to just come in and be a really good part. None of us were really, really good yesterday, but he was as good as he was needed, and like people pointing it out on social media, it's a joke.
On a personal note, as a born and bred Liverpudlian, this is a particularly proud moment.
The écru, which is French for unfinished, unbleached linen.
But at the time, it was quite extraordinarily unique. It was a different colour, and a number of different buyers would look at us as if we were crazy.
It was definitely an exciting time. It was just because it was fresh and new. Nobody had experienced it before. Nobody had seen this type of colour.
At that time, no one was sort of looking to be that radical with a colour.
For a long while, I don't even know what's going to surpass this. That was the proudest moment I'd had in my career.
And it's mad to think that word has become synonymous with a shirt. It's become synonymous with Liverpool. You've never heard the word écru used before or since in anything other than a Liverpool context.
Liverpool was the height of fashion because of the European trips, through the 70s and 80s.
I had to explain to Boston headquarters, this is a team we need.
And we're going in to see Roy Evans and showing him the kit and things like that. And I said, it's écru, and he went, There's no such thing as a crew. It's cream.
So yeah, Patrick Berger and this new shirt was very much a perfect storm.
You know, we knew he had some quality, but we didn't realise how good looking he was until he turned up. Yeah, even Jamie was rattled.
And it was a fantastic experience. And you know what? I like this shit. You know, I like the color. You know, I mean, there were much worse colors. You know, after that. So it's a great shirt. I like it.
The perspective of not just what you wear on a Saturday to go to the match, but in the pub on a Tuesday night with your jeans and trainers.
The story behind the kit, how it was made, is fantastic as well. The way it set a trend of how football kits should be made.
I had a great expression, and it's actually to do with like mental health, and it's more like, so when you're in a bad space and a bad time, maybe you've got bad problems in work or in your home life or family or whatever, and you develop coping mechanisms, but when you fix that problem, the coping mechanisms remain. So actually you end up could actually be feeling or reacting negatively still, even though the thing that actually caused it in the first place doesn't exist anymore, and you have to break down those negativities. And I think that exists in Liverpool's fan base. It exists in all walks of life. There's people who have gotten so used to there being something you need to moan about, and they need that. That's a portion of their life. Maybe that's how they solely maybe interact on social media. But there's a percentage of their day that was spent when Liverpool were a bit crap or had real issues, talking about the negatives and really highlighting the negatives and feeling like that was maybe it was a cathartic experience for them. Maybe they felt good for it. It was a good way to vent. When those bad things go away, they've still got that space in their day that they haven't found a way to fill that with something better. So they're still so instead they presume that therefore must be something negative, and you've got to continue to have negative things to say. It's why you've got like those Arsenal fan TV lads, and all them, you know, a lot of them good fellas who go immediately to let's sack the manager, because like it's like, oh, you just, it's like a broken record. It's like, oh, you go back to type. Whereas instead of being able to just find something new to say, find something good to say, find something positive to say. Because as I say, ultimately, Curtis Jones, in my opinion, had a really good game. You know, against Inter Milan, he's a stellar young talent. He is starting games at the moment ahead of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who was an England international. Yeah, people have got their own opinions on Ox, and I've seen a lot of negativity around him. He's a really good footballer. And Harvey Elliott, who's deemed the ultimate wonder kid, who's just the flavour of the month, who is also a brilliant young footballer. He's getting games ahead of him at times at the moment. The point is, it's the tiresome need to rank Liverpool's midfielders of like, oh, he's boss, so he should play every game, and therefore because you've got your favourite players, it means you have to like less. This is not, I've got a PlayStation, I have to hate Xbox. This is like saying I've got a PlayStation, I hate the PSP. You know what I mean? It's like they're all in the same stable. They're all brilliant in their own way. They all bring different things. It's shout
out to UNDs. Get it?
Yeah. Just stupid. Just
what
genuinely
gets me
stupid.
With that, Paul, you just made a great point there. Is at the end of the day, if you've got your mental health and all that sort of stuff, and you deal with it in different ways, and I respect that absolutely. And if this person finds that's the way to do it, then fine. But this person ultimately is a Liverpool fan. So why are you trying to put negativity on a spin where we're in for 4 trophies at the minute, and you want to take that away by creating this negativity, which loads of Liverpool fans will latch onto? Yeah. There was another one as well I saw the other day that got about 10,000 interactions where they were on about Luis Diaz's run. You know, that amazing run that he made, and he got fouled on the edge of the box. If he doesn't get fouled, he probably gets a shot on target. And he took away, he needs to cut that out of his game, he needs to stop doing that. It's like, are you joking? The lad is making another Anfield appearance, he wants to impress everybody. And he's like, you should have passed it to Salah. Yeah, but how many times does Salah do that? But we don't jump on his back because we know how good he is. Why are people trying to bring this team down? It doesn't make you any woke.
People are afraid to be happy.
Yeah, this is why we don't deserve nice things.
People are afraid to be happy. No, it is.
Don't get it.
And but you know what? A lot of this comes from insecurity, and it comes. No, but it comes. Yeah, no. Ooh, let's be more miserable in our football analysis, like the telly.
We lost.
But
this is the point: is that people have been raised because telly does this, Sky do this, fucking Graham Souness and Roy Keane, and like saying everything's shit and focusing solely on all the negatives, and everything's got to be to blame, and there's always got to, because there's got to be a best player, there's got to be a worst player, and if you're the worst player, that means your worst equals bad. Whereas actually in a brilliant football team, the worst player in Liverpool's team is honestly probably better than 9 out of 11 of most of the teams Liverpool have had in the Premier League era, because that's the levels Liverpool are operating at this point, and what it smells to me, it smells of entitlement, and it smells of a lack of understanding, and just a bit of minge baggery that needs to get in the bin ultimately, because if you, not to boil it down to it, if you've got nothing nice to say, say nothing wrong with addressing negativity, nothing wrong with saying that someone's had a bad performance, but when someone actually hasn't had a bad performance, but you're actively trying to find ways to nail someone for having a bad performance, like,
it's true.
And again, look, and sorry Jake, but because it's fucking really pissing me off, is that if someone has a bad, Liverpool have got loads of squad options. This is not like we've got 11 players and someone's playing bad and, oh my God, what are we going to do? They'll just bring them out and they'll put someone else in.
Exactly.
Liverpool are managing a squad in an unprecedented circumstance here of going for 4 trophies and doing it quite well so far, and also managing to blood in incredible young talents at the same time.
For anyone who's going on Twitter, for everyone in this fan base, take 3 deep breaths and think about if you really need to tweet this out, and if this is maybe about you and not about the topic you want to tweet about.
Correct.
And then life gets maybe easier for you too.
I just go, what's your aim? What's your aim? And if your aim, by the way, if your aim is just to generate retweets and likes, that's a game. Twitter was voted on E4 did one of those, the 100 greatest games of all time, and Twitter won ahead of like Grand Theft Auto and stuff, because ultimately you input something, you play a game, you put some information in there, and it rewards you with a greater follow account and likes and retweets and all that kind of stuff. And
that's what it's all about for some people.
And if you are one of those sociopaths who needs that in your life, then sound absolutely, but also at the same time, maybe get a dog. I don't know,
recommend pugs. They're very good.
Get a puppy, get a cat, get a hug off your mum, your dad, or just pay someone to do that for you if you haven't got them. Yeah, exactly.
Not going out,
Yeah, just whatever you've got to do.
And these are real people and not only numbers. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Curtis Jones is great. I won't hear a bad word say.
I felt like I got a lot out of my system there, because I just hate Twitter sometimes, and I love it. It can be such a positive. I mean,
I love to connect it, because I finished the game and I went on Twitter and I saw Ross tweeting. And Ross does this because Ross lives plugged into social media, and he was like reacting to a different world to what I'd seen, and it was this like, well, you might not think this, but it was a good performance. Liverpool got through, and I was like, who are you talking to? But I realised he's obviously talking to this mad digital world of he's plugged into the matrix, and he's seeing this code, and he's just seeing people just shitting on stuff, and he's actually responding to that. But when you only see one side of the conversation, it looks like a crazy. When you come to match and you see someone shouting, it's like someone shouting at ether at like shouting at pigeons in the park. The pigeons just leaving be, they're having a good time. It's but I find that mad. It's one of the weirdest dichotomy of modern football. I think
people are doing it to be like more woke, in the sense of like, okay, I want to be a pundit because I'm on Twitter, so I'm going to take out that little bit of a positive thing.
Yeah, to the point I was kind of driving at is that because we've been trained that you've got to talk about football in this super serious way, like it's all life or death.
Yeah.
People feel that it's the reason why people vote Conservative, because they've created like this, like it feels like more serious, like you're somehow more serious and more switched on and more intelligent, more posh or whatever.
Yeah.
So and so people vote Tory because they feel like it's it carries a prestige, and people talk about football in negative terms because they've been trained to think that that's how the pros do it, so therefore that's how I should do it, and it makes me sound like I know more what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
And and again, ultimately it's easier to find things to moan about. This is well more. I've had well more doing this than we have talking about it. Let's face it, just a game. It was just a game of football for Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly.
It shouldn't. We don't need to blow it up one way or the other.
Might have lost, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't fucking matter.
It's a shorter way to just a really bad moaning opinion that you can shout out, that is like short and quick and sensational and all that stuff. That's way easier than really trying to see a positive thing. And it's like social media is short and quick and all that stuff. Like the dick of the guy who posted this about Curtis.
Yeah.
So I mean.
In years gone by, you'd have been with your mates and someone says a bad shout and everyone goes, what the fuck are you talking about? Shut the fuck up.
Immediate in-person reaction.
Exactly. And maybe you go, ugh, and then you try and fight your case. But largely, the laughter is so loud that you can't, there's nothing you can do. And you go, yeah, I've got that wrong. And I'll very worst case, I'll shut up about it, and maybe I'll digest it and go, I won't say that again, because clearly that was a bad shout. But yeah, unfortunately, there's a justification in likes and retweets, and unfortunately now it's hard to differentiate between what's a retweet because people are trying to go, look at this dickhead, and what's a retweet going, I totally agree with this point.
Yeah, exactly.
And often it's like you like something so that you can come back to it after the fact. Heart doesn't necessarily like the like for me is often because was it a star back in the day or whatever, but like. It was like, that's just going to put it in a list so I can revisit that down the line. It's not a vindication that I seriously heart what you've just said there.
He likes that Curtis Jones was shit.
Yeah, terrible. Anyway, the game.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want even more Redmen TV content in your lives, both in video and podcast formats, do check out our subscription service, Redmen Plus, over on the redmentv.com. And Ross, why should these good people sign up to Redmen Plus?
You should do that right now because you'll get access to exclusive documentaries, interviews, and all our pre- and post-match content. Plus, for the business end of the season, there's 2 games a week for most weeks, so you get even more for your money.
Head on over to the redmentv.com and sign up to Redmen Plus.